Hey guys, today we are going to talk about some quick sketching methods. This is for the beginner student trying to visualize a space in 3D without using the grid. The grid is great, but sometimes you want to do some sketches, you want to create some conceptual images, and you don't have the time to create a grid. This is just thinking out loud. The possible ideas that you might have in your head. So I'm showing you how to approach sketching so that it can be quick, okay? Now, if you want to have very specific, dimensions, then you would be better off using the grid. But this is just, again, for conceptual sketching. So first off, we have our horizon line. And then you're going to establish a vanishing point. So that might be something like this, okay? So this is going to be vanishing point. So for boxes that are above the vanishing point, you are just going to, create a box. So this might be like a light fixture above your head or something. From each corner, you're going to go to the vanishing point. Extrude that. It's not quite a box yet. So what you're going to need to do is determine the depth of it. So that's going to be another horizontal line. So it's going to be parallel to your first one, parallel to the top of that. Where it intersects the vanishing point line, that's where you're going to send it up. And you're going to draw a vertical line. So this is a box that is above the horizon line. That means above your eye line. So this is where your eyes are. So if you've got a box that is below your eye line, let's see something like this. Great, so here's my little box. It's got horizontal lines, it's got vertical lines. I'm gonna go to the corner, to the vanishing point from each corner. So you've got something that looks like it's been extruded from that point. Then you're gonna draw the depth of it. And then where that intersects the vanishing point line, you're going to draw a vertical line. So that becomes a box that is lower than your eye line. Let's say the box is something on your horizon line. All right, so you have a box. You're going to go now, instead of 3 corners, you're going to go to 2 corners. So you're going to extrude it. And then you're just going to draw a line that's parallel to your initial. So that means you've got a slight slope here. So it's not at like a 45-degree angle or anything like that. All these corners will go to the vanishing point, and that's how you're going to show a sense of perspective for all these boxes. So that's like the basic foundation of 1-point perspective boxes. But let's say you have a room. You're drawing something, an idea that you have. Well, first off, when we draw a room, we're going to have now some kind of rectangle, right? You're going to draw a rectangle. And then about 5 feet, this is my estimation of 5 feet. This is going to be our horizon line. Okay? So at 5 feet, so this is determining that, hey, 5 feet here, that's 10 feet. That is not quite 15, so maybe let's 12. Let's just say that. This is 5, this is 0, okay? So you're gonna establish your vanishing point somewhere along this, what do you call it? Horizon line. Now, I'm just gonna switch to pen because I don't know if you guys can see this that well. So I'm gonna go ahead. Sketching with pen. Let's go ahead and bite the bullet here. All right, horizon line, 5 feet. I'm going to establish this. So I'm going to establish it somewhere around here. I don't generally like to do right in the middle. I mean, it's probably easy to do that, but then, I don't know. I like to be a little bit different. All right, so now I'm going to draw a line from from the vanishing point through each corner. And I'm going to send it out. Vanishing point, corner. It's almost like playing pool. You're just extending it beyond the pockets, okay? So the reason why I don't like to do it straight in the middle, because a lot of times, I'm going to come back to this one. A lot of times I see students do this and they think it's just an X. It's actually not an X because this corner doesn't quite meet. That corner didn't meet. That kind of met and that did meet, okay? So that's not correct. You want to make sure that you understand that, hey, you know what? I'm going to go from this point through this corner, extend. 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 You've got to make sure that you understand the components of perspective drawing. So this would be a no, please do not do that. This would be a yes, please continue doing that. Another quick thing is, let's say if your vanishing point is towards the left side of the room, when you do your, to the corner, extend, to the corner, extend, to the corner, extend, to the corner, extend, you're going to see that, let's just kind of reconfirm this. You're going to see that the right side of the room, it's probably going to be like more noticeable. Let's see, the whole composition here. Something like that, right? You see this side's bigger. So that means if you want something to be shown in your perspective sketch, your quick sketch, and it's on the right side of the room, you want to put your vanishing points toward the left. And the same will be true for the reverse. So let's say, so here I have a room that I'm drawing. And I want to see the left wall. So I'm going to put my vanishing point to the right. I'm going to go to the corner, extend. Through the corner, extend. Through the corner, extend. Corner, extend. So now when I'm drawing this space, now you see that, hey, in my picture plane, I can see more of this left wall than my right wall. And I've done that by scooting this vanishing point towards the right. Okay, so let's move on. Let's go back to where we were. All right, so I've got this little space, right? And I want to do, maybe you've got a tray ceiling you want to show. Okay, so all that is saying, hey, I've got some kind of opening here, and I'm going to go from my vanishing point, okay, and there's just a tray that's being created, but that's right now it's just the opening. At this point it could be just like a painted ceiling design or something, or two colors, or maybe it's molding. I mean, if you did some extra lines here, extra lines here, extra lines here, it could be applied molding, right? But let's say if we want it to be a tray ceiling, what you're going to do is from these corners, because it's basically like a box, right? You're going to draw a vertical line, then it's going to be a horizontal line. So that starts the extruding up, and then you're going to go from your vanishing point through these corners, vanishing point, corner, and that creates that semblance of a tray ceiling that's going up. All right, let's say we want to do beams. Okay, well, you have to determine like where your beams are located, how large they are, how often will you have them, something like this. Do some math, I guess. So you're going to go from the vanishing point through the top of this beam, through the bottom of this beam, and the underside of this beam. You're just going to do the same thing on this side. The bottom and the top, it's very small to see. So this would be the vertical plane of that beam, vertical plane of that beam. And then this one, you're going to go through the bottom, through the top vertical plane. So this becomes the vertical plane of that beam. So that would be a quick sketch of that. Now, let's say if you've got beams on the side walls, or maybe you're trying to do coffer ceilings, I don't know. So once you have this kind of alignment of like, hey, this part will be the bottom of the beam. Maybe you're saying, okay, here's going to be beam number 1, beam number 2. Okay, let's just do 2 for now. I'm just going to take this and draw it over because that's going to be a horizontal line right here. Horizontal line for this beam. Horizontal line for the vertical plane. Okay. So that's beam number 1. So beam number 2, you're going to do the same thing. Horizontal line. Horizontal line, horizontal line. Okay, so that's going to be just a quick sketch way of saying, hey, here's a coffer here, here's a coffer here. No, that's the bottom, sorry. Here's a coffer here. That's for this one. So this is the vertical plane. Vertical plane here. This is the vertical plane here. Vertical plane here. Okay. Vertical plane here. All right, and then the vertical plane here. And then this will be the vertical plane here. This will be the vertical plane here. And this is the underneath, okay? Now, if I really wanted to kind of clean that up, maybe I'll take a more thick line and say, okay, here is the intersection. Okay, there's the intersection of this dude here, this dude here. Okay, that would be the opening. Here's the intersection of this coffer. Okay. Then this guy right here. Yes, I'm hungry. All right, so hopefully you can kind of see what I have, but this is basically how you would show a quick sketch way of doing beams or coffers, depending on like if you have coffers or beams. All right, so now let's say you want to do something like a drop-down ceiling. So like in a section view, it'd be like if this is the ceiling plane and you're dropping something down here, okay? So instead of going up like we had before, we're gonna drop down. So it's almost like you'll create like an elevation in this back wall. Okay, so maybe, hey, it's gonna come from here. So now that you know the drop of what you're gonna do, you're just gonna take the vanishing point line, go through the bottom of this. And then, let's say, you know, on the side wall, you know that you want it to drop and maybe take up this much space, the beginning and the end here. So you can take that horizontal line here, horizontal line here, and that becomes the drop. Okay, whatever thickness that you have. And sometimes, you know, again, you're sketching. So you're doing these preliminary sketch lines, right? And then when you like the lines, you can come back and either make them more bold or thick, or just take another piece of trace paper or paper on top of it and say, okay, here's the lines that I really like. So that way, when you're looking at it, you can see like, hey, this is the room. And so all your little thinking lines that you had before, they don't become as important, or at least they shouldn't be important. And now you actually see that your design element of what it is that you're trying to do. Because this is just a quick sketch. All right, so the next one up is going to be like I've seen a lot of students really like to do the cantilevered or the kind of wraparound extrusion of a shape, okay? So let's say we've got this ceiling thing that's going to go all the way across, right? Maybe you start here and you're saying, okay, here's the footprint of this shape. Some kind of rectangle, right? And this goes to the vanishing point. This line goes to the vanishing point, right? But they want to wrap it around to be around the ceiling. So this is going to be where it intersects the ceiling is actually the top of that wraparound, which is a horizontal line, okay? And then whatever that thickness of that, whatever you want it to be, will be that thickness. It's like basically two shapes, right? This is the vanishing point, and then where the end of that vanishing point is, it's going to be a horizontal line. And that becomes the wraparound of that item. So let's go ahead and use a thicker pen. And there you have it, something like that. All right, so now we're gonna go start doing some things on the floor. Let's say we have an elevated platform somewhere. Maybe it is back here, back of the room. So this is gonna be the footprint of that elevated back area. I'm gonna draw some vertical lines. And then from whatever height I determine this to be, because this is a corner right here, I'm gonna go from the vanishing point through that until I intersect the front plane, these front vertical lines that I have. So maybe I'll just extend that vertical line so you can see how it intersects it. But once I have this intersection drawn here, I can just draw a horizontal line here, horizontal line here. And so that creates the finish of this top. So this becomes some kind of elevated area, or some kind of extrusion up there. So if you have something like that, that's what it's going to look like. Let's say while we're here, let's say we want to do some kind of columns or something. So here we're doing the footprint of this column 1, right? So maybe on this side, another column. Let's do another column over here. Let's extrude a couple. Okay. So now that I've extruded some lines from the vanishing point, I'm going to draw some horizontal lines here. Horizontal lines here. So it becomes the footprint of these columns. So footprint 2, footprint 3, footprint 4. Okay. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and draw some vertical lines here. So you're just drawing lines that are parallel to your back corner. And initially, you can draw them like you do construction lines, like make them long, because you don't actually know where the top of it is just yet. And if you're ever having trouble like with these vertical lines, you're like, oh, I need a ruler for this. Well, just practice like looking at the edge of your paper, siding that. And do this enough and you should get a little bit better. All right, so I've got 4 beginnings of a column. And I've elevated these lines, these vertical lines. So basically, where the vertical line hits, if this is drawn at the wall, wherever it hits at the ceiling point, ceiling intersection line, here's where I can continue and make my intersect my my other vertical line. Let me make it a little bit darker because it's getting hard to see. Actually, just go ahead and come in with a Sharpie here. All right, so this is my vertical line. It intersected the ceiling. This is my vertical line, and that created the side of this column. This goes back. Sorry, let's use a thin one for this one. When you're going to the vanishing point, so that is the depth of this column. So you can come back and say, okay, I like that line. I'm going to go ahead and darken that line, and I'm going to do a vertical line. That becomes your column number 1. So this one, now that we've done that, you can just take your horizontal line, your initial one, just carry it across. So that becomes, top of column 2, top of column 3, top of column 4. See, that one, I didn't even make it tall enough, okay? But then I want the bottom, the vanishing point line. There's vanishing point 1, this one, vanishing point 2, vanishing point 3. So I'm going to go ahead and darken that column. Something like that, where you can see it's something that's 3D and it has some sense of perspective to it. And if I want to darken the lines in the background of what that platform was, and take that and just darken those lines here, okay? And then the actual room itself, let's go ahead and make that darker. All right, something like that. All right, hope you can see that. All right, let's use this. We use this paper, okay? Let's say you're drawing like a pit, like a drop. Like before, it was an elevated shape from the floor. Now you're gonna extrude back into the floor, make it a pit or something. All right, first off, you have to kind of determine what shape you want it to be. So when you draw this, you're going to come from the vanishing point. You're going to do horizontal lines, right? So this, as it stands, it could be a rug, or it could be a floor change. But if you want it to seem like it's, sinking in, instead of going up like we had done, for the ceiling bit here, we're going to go down. Depending on, how deep you want this thing. But if it's just a regular pit or one drop down, it's not going to be a huge amount. This line is going to go from the vanishing point. This line is going to do the vanishing point. And that becomes some kind of drop element within the floor. So it's basically in reverse of the ceiling we had done before, the tray ceiling. Okay, well now let's say if we want to have a column or something. Not a column, sorry, a fireplace. Let's say if we're going to do a fireplace along this wall. I'm going to do the footprint of that fireplace. I'm going to maybe come up. Vertical lines. Okay, so remember, the side of this fireplace, if it hits, it's going to stop at the ceiling. So at the ceiling line, I can make a horizontal line. And this becomes a horizontal, the front side of this fireplace. So at this corner here, I can go back to the vanishing point. So that is the other side of this fireplace. Okay, so let me go ahead and use the 5 here. Now, okay, this is for sketching, but if you want to take the time, you can always, if you don't like all these extra lines, you just put another piece of paper on top of it and clean it up. All right, so we have a fireplace. So maybe you want to center something here. So I'm going to go corner. Oh, that's a bad line there. Okay, corner to corner, or something like that. So somewhere in this midpoint, approximately. That's your midpoint of this particular fireplace. And so let's say if I want an opening of this fireplace, and I draw this vertical line where this intersects this X, my badly drawn X, but pretend like that was a really great corner to corner line. So anyway, where that intersects, I'm going to go to the vanishing point. And then where that intersects the other side of that X, I can send it down, and that becomes the opening of this fireplace. Because there's a depth to it, it's going to be a horizontal line, a vertical line. So this becomes the opening of this fireplace, and there's the depth of that. Unless it's even deeper than that, you can draw that if it goes out to the exterior or something like that. All right, so that would be, you know, a fireplace element that's extruded. You get the footprint, vertical lines, and finish up the old top. Let's say you're, you know, there's a niche that you're drawing. Well, whatever height it is, you're gonna kind of draw it. So you're arraying from the vanishing point lines. You've got some vertical lines there. So you've got an opening there. All right, well, it looks kind of like a picture on the wall or panel or something. To show the depth of it, a recessed niche, you're gonna do horizontal lines, parallel. And that becomes the depth of that. Well, you don't have the top and the bottom just yet, so you gotta go from the vanishing point. Oops, wrong one. It's kind of easier to turn your paper a little bit. All right, and that becomes something of like a niche. I don't know how to say it correctly. All right, anyway, that's what that looks like. One last bit. Let's say, pretend like we have an opening on this wall. It's another room or something. So I'm gonna determine like, hey, where it's gonna be. Maybe this is the opening, other side of it. Maybe this is actually into the room. But, so here's the top of that opening, right? But it doesn't have any depth right now. So in order to show depth, you're going to do a horizontal line here, horizontal line here. And that becomes the inside of this wall thickness, okay? Then I'm going to do a line from the vanishing point, right? And that becomes the opening. Let's say if this is another room on the other side, I'll just take that and just kind of continue that horizontal line there. On this side, I'm not going to need to draw anything because you're standing over here. Pretend like that. Actually, your head's like higher. You're here. Hello. So you can't see the inside of that. All right. Anyway, these are some ways to draw some perspective in your space. Hopefully it helps you. I'm going to continue this series with like more cylindrical shapes, more cone shapes, and more curvilinear forms. All right, I hope that helps you, and I'll see you next time.